Hello, everyone. Welcome to Checking In with Changemakers with Be the Change Media Network. My name is Lily Mott, and I'm so excited to be here again with you today. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and this is the show where I get to catch up with past guests of Be the Change podcast. I've been hosting the podcast for almost 4 years now, so my guests have done some very exciting things since I talked with many of them, and I'm excited to update you on their work. I want to begin by saying today there's been a bit of a change of schedule, and I know that it's a little bit different from what I posted on the weekly schedule on the Be the Change Media Network Instagram page. I was hoping to do a double feature of today's guest and Renata Coach Alvarenga, who was going to come on the live stream today, but she couldn't make it, unfortunately, due to the climate disaster that is taking place in southern Brazil. Renata couldn't make it, and hopefully I'll be able to talk with her later in the summer. We were thinking hopefully June, so I would love to have her on the show, and instead I just wanted to call everyone's attention to that situation. I am very excited to introduce you to the guest that I'm going to have on the show today, though, and she is Pareen Mhatre, and she is an immigration advocate, and she's on the board of directors at Improve the Dream. And I featured Pareen all the way back on Be the Change podcast in June of 2022, and she was featured in episode 104 of the podcast. So I'm really excited to have her on this show and get caught up with all of the work that she's been doing. And she just joined the live stream, so hopefully we'll get her on here and we'll get started with a conversation. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Lily. I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, this might be the smoothest live stream that I've done. This is perfect. Knock on wood.
Yes.
But thank you so much for coming on the show. How is everything going? How's your week going?
Great. Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, my week's great. Happy Thursday. It's almost Friday, so
Exactly.
Can't complain there. What about you?
I feel the same. I've got a bunch of papers and things that are due the next couple of weeks, but tomorrow's Friday. It's all going to be okay.
Yes,
It's awesome.
yes,
I'm excited to be
it.
here with you. Yes, I think this is going to be a great conversation, and I've been waiting to do this one because I know that you've been doing so much exciting work, so I'm excited to talk with you about that. So before we really dive in, I did a very brief introduction as to who you are, the work that you're doing, but I would love for you to give a little bit more of an in-depth introduction about the work that you've done, your story. We'll go deeper, of course, but I would love for you to give a little bit more of a thorough introduction of yourself. Let's get started with that.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. My name is Pareen, and I'm originally from Iowa City, Iowa. So grew up into Hawkeye State. Both my parents went to school there. I went to school there, and I graduated. I keep on saying last December because force of habit. It was December 2022 with a degree in biomedical engineering, and I minored in business as well. And I currently work for a large medical device company in electrophysiology, which is like heart stuff. And outside of work, I'm on the board of Improve the Dream. So Improve the Dream is a youth-led, nonpartisan nonprofit organization that advocates for young immigrants who come here at a young age with status, but due to barriers in the legal immigration system, which is also extremely outdated, these individuals have no way to stay here. They don't have a path to citizenship, and then they age out at 21, and they have to find other forms of visas or have to leave the country, leave the only place they've ever known. And so Improve the Dream's vision is that everybody who grows up in the United States has a clear opportunity to stay and contribute to this country. We are a national community of young immigrants, so we help each other navigate the extremely complex, complicated, lengthy immigration process for ourselves and our families, while also advocating for a permanent end to something called aging out.
Interesting. Okay, so I know that you were involved in this work, of course, when we talked, which was a while ago. But I would love for you to tell me, since, I think, let's see, when did I say that we talked? June of 2022 was when the episode was published. So lots has happened. What have you done in the time since then? Kind of catch me up.
Yeah.
I know that you were, of course, doing this work. Tell me about what life has been like after college. Give me a look at just what life is like now for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so past 2 years. So personally, for me, I graduated college, and like I said, I started working full time, which has been such a weird transition. I was so used to being a student for almost 22, 23 years, and you know, next thing you know, you're kind of thrown into the real world, I guess, and balancing work with immigration advocacy and also taking care of your personal health. It's been a challenge. It was challenging at first, but I think now I've kind of gotten the hang of things a little bit. But no, it's been good overall. I'm currently living in Minneapolis, so a little. It's about a 5-hour drive from my hometown in Iowa, so not too far. And then immigration wise, we've had a lot go on in the past couple years, obviously internally, but also like politically. Um, we In terms of Improve the Dream, we had our very first large scale advocacy trip the summer of 2022, shortly after we talked. So, about or more than 40 individuals from across the country came together, and we planned this massive trip where young people who were going through the immigration process and were aging out, they were able to share their stories with lawmakers, officials from the White House, and also, nonprofit organizations. We were also able to sharpen our advocacy skills. We also have worked on a bipartisan legislation called America's Children Act, which essentially ends aging out. And it's actually it is the most bipartisan bill in Congress right now. So that's pretty exciting. And we introduced that in 2022, had a press conference. Same with 2023. We had another Improve the Dream massive trip planned. And so it's been great kind of expanding the organization. And we also have a trip coming up next month. So it's been incredible to see the progress that our organization has made. In terms of like things that we have gotten done, trying to think if this was before or after we talked, but this was after. But we were able to get our language included in the House version of the NDAA summer of 2022, which was, a previous Congress, but it just goes to show how important advocacy is. Unfortunately, while it did not pass through the Senate, the fact that we were able to have like a chamber of Congress, agree and say, hey, this is important, this needs to be looked at, was a huge milestone for us. And then also we were through the administration, so executively, we were also able to change the interpretation of a current law that calculates ages of dependent visa holders. So what that means is even if you have aged out after 21, through this recalculation, if you fit the criteria, you can still qualify for your parents' green card, which is huge to those who think that they are going to have to leave the only country that they've ever known. And so, it's been a lot of great work that we've done a lot of great work, I think, and it definitely wouldn't have been possible without just our team from across the country. It's not a one-person effort. We have so many people who are literally, risking their chance to stay here to do this. And so, yeah, that's a little
Yeah,
update that I have for you.
yeah, that is so exciting. That is awesome. I think that was such a great overview. I think I have so many questions about just kind of where the work is going and kind of the future as well, because I think, of course, this is a really interesting time coming up in US politics for lots of places. There are local elections, state elections, of
Yeah.
course, the presidential election, which everyone's going to have their eyes on. What are your thoughts about the future of this issue in particular when you look at maybe changes that might be coming? What are your worries? What are your hopes? Can you talk to me a little bit about the future of this issue in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. I Growing up, to me, I never felt like this issue was something that could even be considered. So, I mean, just the fact that we're able to talk to lawmakers about this, and we have a bill sitting in Congress right now. It's huge, but I think the fact that it is extremely bipartisan, um, and it's immigration related, it seems like it's kind of, like, uh, to some people it may not make sense, right? Like when we think of immigration as a topic, you don't usually think of something that can be, it's not easily agreeable for most people. It's a very partisan issue. However, I think if we continue to have the same momentum that we have right now, so raising awareness, getting stories out there, from all over, especially in states where they traditionally may not, vote in part with immigration. That it's so important. It's so important to talk to those who disagree with you, because that's how you get things done. And so I'm excited to see the trajectory of Improve the Dreams work headed in that direction. We're hoping to continue our work with the White House, whether it be, in continuing with President Biden's White House or President Trump's White House. We're looking forward to working with, both sides and get this issue across the finish line. Um, Personally, I think this issue is the lowest hanging fruit if we're talking about immigration as a topic, right? Because immigration is so layered. There are so many different types of immigrants, types of visas. Um, and in addition to that, it's our current system is decades old. So I think, it's important to realize that this is just one picture of immigration. Um, and hopefully when we solve this, we're able to kind of deal with everything else as well.
Yeah. I think there's so much there, and I think I love the point that you brought up about making sure that you talk with people that might not agree with you. I think that's so huge, and I love that. That's what the podcast I've always tried to do, and I think I just love that sentiment. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. But as far as the work that you're doing with Improve the Dream and your own work, what are the best ways for people to support you and get involved in this work?
Yeah, well, first of all, visit us at improvethedream.org. We also have our social media. I'll plug it in all here, but I think, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, like, support our work online. That's important. But um, it is so important for young people, especially, to stay engaged civically. And so, talking to your representatives, talking to your senators, so, so important. Stories go a long way. If you know someone, if your friend's daughter is going through this, like, it is, stories matter so much. And something, this may, some people might seem like a no-brainer, but um, representatives or senators, whoever it is, they will listen to their constituents if you have a big enough group. You have to make your points. So, make the key argument there, but also, stories go such a long way. They are the foundation of advocacy. And I said this last time, I'll say it again. So, so important. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I would recommend. Also, just get to know your community. It doesn't have to be this issue; it can be a different issue. It's just really key, especially in the world that we live in, to stay rooted, stay connected, and learn about the members in your community. So what are they dealing with? So that's I think where I would start.
Oh my gosh, we're like on the same wavelength. Everything you're like, yes, yes, I love it. I think that you're gonna have a great answer to the last question then as well. Same one that I asked you when I had you on the podcast years ago. But lots of people may want to get started with making change, making a difference, but they may not know where to get started with that work. What advice would you have for those people who may be listening?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about, my personal experience. I think while going through that, it really helped to know the issue in and out. And I'm not just saying personal story, but I'm saying know your stats, like I said, know the members in your community, know the history of your issue, and what your hopes are. And on top of that, I think knowing what's going on politically is also very important. Um, I sometimes hear a lot, especially in our generation and, our parents' generation. Well, I don't listen to politics, or I don't like thinking about politics. It matters. It affects your life, it affects my life, it affects everyone's lives. And so, know where your elected officials stand on the issue that you want to advocate for, and really build that relationship with them. So that's where I'll leave off.
Yeah, I think that's a great ending, and I totally agree. I think it's the reinvigoration of civic participation, and that's just so important to spread the word that it does matter. Believe me, it does. It affects all of
Yes.
us some way or another. I love that. So, as you said, what are the best ways for people to reach out to you, reach out to Improve the Dream, plug all
Yes.
the socials?
Yes,
Go
yeah,
for it.
yeah. So at Improve the Dream, literally anywhere, LinkedIn, X or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then also if you want to follow me, you can do that too. But yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun. And I'm so
Likewise.
glad that we got to talk again. And I think it was just so great to hear about the work that you're doing. And just, I think I love just your energy and everything that you've been saying. I think it's so important.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course. And thank you to everyone who's watching us and who's listening back later. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me at Be the Change Media Network on Instagram. And if you enjoyed this conversation, leave a comment or a rating and subscribe to the podcast. So tune in to Be the Change on air tomorrow. And until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.